What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. A little bit later in the day. It's the afternoon across the good old US of A. I am Britt Devine, back for another show. We got a new player in. We substituted out TJ and Will. In comes the Spidey Bomb himself, Mr. Agents of Fandom. TJ, what's going on, TJ? I like the little redo on the room here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I had to switch things around because honestly, I got an early head start on it. I didn't really have to do this till October is when I'm going to be doing some gaming live streams. When the Spider-Man 2 game comes out for PS5, I'm going to be streaming that basically all day, every day until I finish it. So I had to move some things around. Got a big old TV beside me here. Got a couch in here. Much more space to hang out now.
Yeah, it looks a little nicer. You got a nice TV and a little spot for the dogs to hang out. So, and you can, of course, show off all the memorabilia, which, that's what everyone's really here for anyway. No one needs Spidey Bombs. We just want to see all the cool stuff you have on the shelves. I just have a fake background behind me. So your background's doing a little bit better. We got a little bit of time today. We got, 40 minutes. Fanduel. It's a 4-10 lock. We're not really going to be talking any DraftKings today. They have very small contests. So it's basically going to be a Fanduel show. I don't know, TJ, what do you want to do here? We got some pitching. We talked you weren't here on the earlier show, but Cards and Will and I, we talked about Eovaldi. He's up at the top. He's allowed. Don't look at the game logs. In his last 7 games, TJ, how many earned runs do you think he's allowed?
Not very many. I know the last time he's gotten under 15 fantasy points was in April, so it can't be too many.
7 games, 4 earned runs. So the dude is just like not allowing basically anything right now, and it's the Rays. So my question to you is, do you want to play Eovaldi against Tampa, or do you want to play McKenzie as your top play against, I believe I saw the Astros lineup come out, and there is no Yordan Alvarez in the lineup. Which one of the top gets the billing, or are you trying to save a little bit of money and maybe go with a Sandoval, Domingo Germán, somebody like that, in an attempt to get the Acuñas, the Otanis, and whatnot onto your team tonight?
So on FanDuel, I do think I lead to Tristan McKenzie. I think he's going to be my favorite on the board. I think he has higher upside than Eovaldi does today. On DraftKings, where McKenzie isn't available, I'm obviously not going to be playing him there, and I'm prioritizing Eovaldi as my main spend up. But on FanDuel, where McKenzie is there, I think he very narrowly gets my number one priority over Eovaldi. Taj Bradley's priced up a bit too high over there. Patrick Sandoval is nice and cheap going up against the Seattle team, but that just feels like there's so many ways that could go poorly for him. So I don't think that I want to be paying down here, and Tristan McKenzie is probably going to be my guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault you for that. Eovaldi's been really good too. I think McKenzie just came out of the gates firing, 5 innings, 10 Ks. He was really good last year. And with him basically coming out of the gates hot this year, I mean, it's really hard to not like him against a watered down Houston team. So I think either one of those guys towards the top is fine. Sandoval, I think, is a little more interesting just because Seattle, they've been so bad this year against left-handed pitching. I'm willing to give him a shot, especially if you're trying to jam in. If you want Acuña and Otani, you basically can't play Eovaldi or McKenzie unless you go full punt at basically every other position on FanDuel today, which I'm not sure that's something I'm willing to do. So Sandoval's fine. I think Domingo, even without getting checked in the sticky stuff, this is a Boston game, so who knows? Anything can happen in these games. You think hopefully he's smart enough to not have any substances on his pants, hands, hat, anywhere on his body. He still was able to have a good game against the Dodgers, which I guess is pretty good. 6 Ks. After coming back, he had 4 Ks in the previous start. I think he's pretty interesting in the mid-tier, and there's no way I'm playing an $8,700 Julio Teheran, even if it's against the A's. I actually like some of the A's bats a little bit more over those guys today. So Domingo, Sandoval, probably my 2 cheap guys. Is there anyone else you'd want to give a little bit of looks to?
No, not really. And even Domingo Germán, I don't think that's going to be for me today. I think Sandoval would be the main one I'd want to take a shot on. I mean, maybe Jared Schuster if I was running 150 lineups, something like that. But still probably not. I'd be going overweight on the expensive guys. And then if I'm running 150, maybe JP France, makes the pool. Bradley gets added to it as well. But probably 90% of my lineups, if I was running 150, would be going between Eovaldi, McKenzie, and Sandoval.
And I think the other guy, what about Taj Bradley at all? Because I think McKenzie probably has the biggest upside. Eovaldi's matchup is tough. I don't know if he's going to get like 9, 10 Ks against the Rays. Bradley, if we don't think there's going to be a huge performance overall, and I was talking to both Cards and Will about this on the earlier show, even in 5 innings, right? Something like that. He's shown big K ability. The Rangers are on the road. They strike out there. They can strike out against right-handed pitching. Bradley as a swerve off either of the top 2 names in a tournament, does that interest you? I could definitely see that as long as Eovaldi or McKenzie don't have that 8, 9, 10 strikeout performance.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. I like him a lot more on DraftKings, where he's a little bit cheaper. You have to play 2 pitchers. I'm a little bit more inclined to do that over there. Having said that, I think if I was running multiple lineups over on Fanduel, I would definitely still be okay with including him in the pool because, like you said, Bradley's got a ton of strikeout upside. So I'm all good with that. We're at 25 likes so far. Not too many people watching on a Saturday afternoon show. And so we'll give a little bit of some discounts for the Spidey Bums. I want 40 likes for the first one, 50 likes for the second one. I got 2 really juicy ones today. There are also 2 bets that I really like that aren't on this slate on FanDuel. You can play them on DraftKings, and I like them. Baltimore over there quite a bit. They're one of my favorite stacks on DraftKings. Not on the FanDuel slate, but they do have 2 really juicy home run bet odds over on Bet365. Or sorry, not Bet365. It's Caesars, where Adley Rutschman is plus 700, and Gunnar Henderson leading off is plus 480. So I really like those ones today. And then in terms of some Spidey Bombs on the FanDuel slate, we are 5 likes away from the first one. I'm sure people are going to be smashing that like button to get it soon. So Rob, take it away with the music.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
All right. So we still need 4 more people to hit the like button, but I know people are going to be sliding their fingers over, hammering that like button right now. If you're watching on your phone, you got to click hide chat, and then you can hammer that like button and pull the chat right back up. But Spidey Bomb, number 1 today, going against one of, even though Paul Blackburn is a respectable pitcher, that Oakland A's bullpen is pathetic. And over on Caesars, you got Rowdy Tellez plus 480. And he is Spidey Bomb number 1. All we got to do is get to 50 likes for the second one, 9 likes away. So keep hitting that like button. And I got Spidey Bomb number 2 for you. This one's going to be over at our sponsor, FanDuel. And I really, really like these odds today for somebody who's gotten a bit better of a lineup spot. So make sure you're smashing that like button.
I'm with you on the Rowdy Tellez. That was one of the first things I bet this morning was a Rowdy Tellez home run. Didn't make it to scores and odds. I'm just sticking to the money lines right now. I had such a good run on those on scores and odds. Didn't do that, but I was on that Rowdy Tellez home run. So absolutely backing you up on that one. And I've got FanDuel pulled up, ready to hit the next one. Couple of likes away.
This site that I use, it doesn't allow me to do like multiple picks in the same game. Like I can't same game parlay home runs or anything like that. And so the ones I got going for tonight in the night slate are Rutschman and Henderson, each in their own, with combinations of Tellez, the second Spidey Bomb, Shohei Ohtani, and Kyle Schwarber.
All right, let's. So I think that's pretty much pitching. We'll take some questions a little bit later. We're gonna have plenty of time for questions around, I would say, 4 o'clock or so. Get those in Discord. YouTube will backtrack and find those if necessary. So pitching out of the way, TJ, and 1 Spidey Bomb or 2. Let's get to offense for the FanDuel slate today. So we don't have the Coors game, right? That was on the DraftKings slate, and that was pretty much dominating all of the offense today. We do have Atlanta with a 5.5 team total. We've got Milwaukee approaching a 5.5 team total. There's some other good spots today. FanDuel really comes down to if you play Eovaldi or McKenzie, you aren't able to play Acuna, maybe some of the higher priced Braves players. So what's your favorite offenses if you are spending on pitching? And then if you are maybe playing a Sandoval or a Domingo, you are able to afford the Otanis and the Acuñas and stuff like that. How are you handling some of those lineups?
Well, this is, I think, the reason why I like spending up at pitching today, because I actually like some of these cheaper stacks more than some of the expensive ones today, especially over on FanDuel. Like Oakland, I really like today. Milwaukee is my favorite stack on the board, and Milwaukee's not difficult to get to. Outside of Christian Yelich, who's 3.5, which isn't even that expensive, you got a 3K Adames, a $2,900 Tellez on FanDuel, $2,800 Owen Miller batting cleanup, John Singleton at 2.2K, Brian Anderson at 2.8. Like, this team is so cheap, and so that's my favorite game on the slate. I like Milwaukee. I like Oakland. They're my two top stacks on the board. Obviously, especially on this FanDuel slate where it's limited, we don't have those 405 games. I'd add Baltimore to that list on DraftKings, but over on FanDuel, like, Atlanta's great. Obviously, Atlanta is going to project the best here. But I mean, even if you want to just fade Acuña, who is, like, if Gore's going to have a plus skill, it's his ground ball abilities, right? And so, with that being said, maybe just don't go Acuña, who's, if he has one downside, it's how often he hits the ball on the ground. And then you got Austin Riley, who's 3.1K. Do we have 50 likes yet? 2 likes away. Hit that music for me, Rob, and we'll get those 2 more likes.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
All right, we got the mask back just for Rob. And second Spidey Bomb, plus 500 over at FanDuel. Batting cleanup today, it's Ozzy Albies, who has always been better against left-handed pitching than he has been right. And so Ozzy Albies, Spidey Bomb, number 2. My headphone popped out. That's why I don't like putting the mask on when I got these headphones in, because it hurts. But I really like the cheaper Braves today more than I do spending up for somebody like Acuña anyways, who is so expensive. I look at the guys like Riley and Albies, Ozuna. I don't even hate mixing in Arcia or Travis d'Arnaud on FanDuel. Play a catcher. He's batting 5th. He's 2,600. And so I like spending up today at pitching because I like the cheap stacks, and even the expensive team like Atlanta, I like the cheap players on that team. So that's kind of why I like spending up today.
FanDuel's front running you, TJ. They got the information. It's 480 now on FanDuel, but I went along. I'm playing Mlbs and DFS for sure, so I might as well add the home run bet alongside you on FanDuel today. So we went over some offenses. We had another Spidey Bomb. Let's do position by position. We'll get that out of the way. We'll get some questions. I'll throw you a couple bets. One I am definitely on with Tristan McKenzie coming. I haven't written this up on Scores and Odds, so you guys actually will get it before the premium subscribers will on Scores and Odds. I'm going to be writing up, as long as I have time before 6 o'clock, Cleveland money line. I like them bigly against Houston today. McKenzie, I'm expecting him to basically come out and be his old self from last year. He already showed it in his first start. We talked about him as a pitcher we might want to use today. And the Houston lineup, starting pitching leads a little bit to be desired. Starting lineup leads a little bit to be as desired. I'm rolling with the Cleveland money line today. So get that in before some of your Scores and Odds premium members even get access to it.
I'm going to make a big, like, not like big dollar, but it's like $10. But I'm going to add a bunch of things to it. I'm going to make a big parlay right here on the show, so that hopefully if people want to follow along, they can. If they want to make the same one, we can hopefully all make some money tonight. But I'm going to try and add a bunch of different things to it. So let's add the Cleveland Guardians money line to that. We're going to do Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run. We're going to do Kyle Schwarber to hit a home run.
Yeah,
we're going to put the two Spidey Bombs in there as well. But I mean, Schwarber is a guy that June's coming. We're getting some warmer weather, and this is the time that Schwarber starts shining. So I'm going to throw him in here as well. Let's get the Spidey Bomb, Ozzy Albies in here. And then who was our second one? Tellez. So we're going to add Tellez into there as well.
You put a couple home runs together, TJ. You can retire off a couple of home runs hitting on the same slate.
Yeah, exactly. So We're gonna go Albies. We're gonna go Tellez, and we got Otani. What do you think? We got Albies, Schwarber, Otani, and Tellez. Is there anybody else we should add in there to hit a home run? Should we put one of the
that
Baltimore
sounds good.
guys
I
in,
do
or
like
should
that.
we not chance it?
I mean, it's already tough to hit 4 home runs in the same slate. That's very tough to do. I think that's pretty good enough if you're trying to string together some home runs.
All right, five pick parlay, the 4 home runs, and the Guardians money line. Let's get it.
All right, let's go position by position. Catcher, nothing from the cash game. I'm not actively trying to roster a catcher. Maybe Darno at 2,600, but you don't need a catcher. There's a couple other guys I think I would prioritize at that first base catcher spot. Is there anyone you're really looking at, like you want to make sure you include in some tournament teams that's not on that specific team that you're stacking?
I mean, for catcher specifically, just in case you're playing on DraftKings and you got into a couple of contests earlier in the day before they filled, I do really love Adley Rutschman as a spend up. And then if you need a mid-K price guy, Francisco Alvarez is 3.4K batting second. I like him over there. And then Shea Langoliers if you need a full-on punt. Over on Fanduel, I don't know if there's many catchers I'd want to play outside of a stack. Even Darno, I'd probably only play him if I'm running an Atlanta stack today. But my favorite first baseman and just person in general at this position is by far Rowdy Tellez, 2,900, just way too cheap for him. Seth Brown I really like too, but I would rather just play him in the outfield. Noda's fine. Olsen's great if you can afford him. Rizzo's interesting in tournaments, as is Naylor. I know you mentioned liking Meneses a little bit earlier as well, but for me, this position is by far my favorite is Rowdy Tellez.
All right, yeah, Tellez, Seth Brown, Noda. It's a position, at least from the cash games that I'm playing on FanDuel today, I would probably go a little cheaper at, not trying to get up to the Matt Olson personally. Second base, we mentioned Ozzie Albies for the home run. I'm definitely playing him on FanDuel as my anchor for a cash team. There's some other reasonable names. It's just, Marcus Semien against Taj Bradley. Are you really going to pay 4,400 for him? Probably not. Are you going to pay 3,500 for Altuve against McKenzie in a weakened Astros lineup? Probably not. So Albies just looks so juicy. You mentioned he hits the lefties always a little bit better in his career. Maybe you could play Glaber as a tournament swerve for 100 less and the ownership's at half, but I'm really focusing on Albies for my teams.
Oh, and great point in chat. Anthony Rizzo not in the lineup today. So definitely don't play him.
Yeah, the Yankees, I have not put a Boston bet in, but that lineup looks absolutely atrocious today. So I might go ahead and take the Boston money line on that one. I got to see what the odds are once I get off the show. Yeah, I mean, that lineup is pretty bad. There's no Judge, no Rizzo. There's not really too many people left in that lineup that can hit a baseball very hard. So I think he's creeping into a tournament play. I still wouldn't go in the cash realm in Yankee Stadium for pretty much most pitchers against the Yankees. But I could certainly see how having a reasonable game, especially if a couple of the stars, the McKenzies and Eovaldi's possibly don't put up the huge link game. How could be someone in the mid-tier that could possibly match or exceed them. Anyone else at second base you want to talk about for tournaments, TJ?
Let's see, second base here. Obviously, Ozzie Albies is my favorite play at the position. He's inexpensive. He's batting cleanup. Number one guy for me today by a fairly wide margin. For tournaments, I like Owen Miller. I mentioned liking Milwaukee quite a bit. And then on DraftKings, you can play Jace Peterson at second base, and I do like him there as a full-on punt, but I believe he is just somebody that you can play at third base on FanDuel.
All right, let's go to third base. Speaking of that, and a couple of guys you might want to be targeting. You've got Devers or Ramirez. Ramirez coming in a little bit cheaper, and then Austin Riley. So really tough decisions between these guys. I think in a vacuum, I have Jose Ramirez probably ahead against France, who I think is a little bit better or worse of a pitcher than a guy like Domingo or Gore. Gore's having some strikeout ability, but I certainly understand having Riley. If you're picking between these three really good third basemen tonight. I think it's a lot tougher. It's pretty tough to make a decision here. I'm leaning Jose Ramirez personally, but I don't think I'd fault anyone for playing Devers or Riley tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you that I wouldn't fault anybody. My lean personally is to Austin Riley, especially just because if I'm paying up for McKenzie or Evaldi, that $200 might be useful. And so Riley is my priority there, followed by Ramirez and Devers third, but all three of them are great plays. If you fully need to save salary, I don't mind some Jace Peterson and then Brian Anderson in a Milwaukee stack. I'm fine with as well.
All right, going to shortstop. A couple players you might want to look up at FanDuel. You got Willy Adames leading the way for me against Blackburn. You mentioned you like the Brewers. We like Tellez. Brewers across the board, I think, are one of the stronger plays in the slate. So I've got Adames. He's just 3K. That fits in some of the things I want to do tonight. You got Corey Seager against Bradley. Of course, I would play Corey Seager against any right-handed pitcher, but not at 4,400, on this slate specifically. So he's going to go really under-owned. Very interesting tournament play. I wonder what your take is on some of these Texas bats against Taj Brett, like Semien and Seager. They're so expensive. Nobody's going to be playing these dudes tonight, right? When you've got Adames for $1,400 less, that's a big upgrade in pitching or another bat somewhere just on one player savings. Seems pretty ludicrous that the price gap is so big there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, Adames is without a doubt the cash game play today. I do think Seager makes a phenomenal tournament option, especially if you're paying down for somebody like a Sandoval so that you can get up there and afford it today. I think it's somewhat interesting to play somebody like a JP Crawford leading off against Sandoval, even though it's lefty-lefty, just because Sandoval might be somewhat chalky. And then in tournaments, especially if you're running a Milwaukee stack, playing Monasterio instead of Willy Adames in that stack is a very interesting way to get different.
All right, going to the outfield. If you guys want to start getting your questions in, feel free to throw them into the Discord, throw them into YouTube. There's only... there's enough of you in there. We're going to have plenty of extra time for some questions. Maybe we can drum up a couple of extra bets for you as well. But on FanDuel, it really comes down to if you're playing one of the expensive pitchers and you had to choose between Acuna, who's, I think, 4,600, and Ohtani. So that's a pretty big price gap today. Who would you rather have today if you just pretend salary didn't exist? What's your favorite outfield play on FanDuel?
Ohtani. Ohtani is going to be the number one guy for me. And so even if salary doesn't exist, that's the guy that I'd prioritize. So he's like the one spend up that I'd be trying to make sure I get to even in my Evaldi and Tristan McKenzie lineups. I don't need both. I don't need both Acuna and Ohtani. I'll play some of the cheaper Braves instead. But Ohtani is definitely the guy that I'm prioritizing the most among this group. I think Julio Rodriguez is very interesting for tournaments. I like him quite a bit. Going up against the lefty. Kyle Tucker as a one-off, I think, is interesting if you're not playing McKenzie today in tournaments. But if you're saving salary, I love the cheap Braves and I love the cheap Oakland players. Obviously, and of course, Yelich is somebody I didn't mention as well. Yelich and Rodriguez are like my two higher price favorite tournament guys, but I love Oakland and Braves for cheap options today.
I know all the algorithms are going to be jamming Seth Brown in here today. What do you think about him? So he's not in my cash team on FanDuel currently. I think I used him on DraftKings for the earlier slate. I'd have to go check my DraftKings team from them, but I guess because I'm going a little cheaper. I'm not paying for the elite tier. I have the ability to play Ohtani, Acuna, and Trout, and like another good bat in the utility spot. I'm sort of overriding, the bat is something I use from Derek Hardy pretty much for the basis of my Major League, baseball, whatever, statistics and things like that. Teheran's, he's been smoke and mirrors, but Brown can be he's very up and down. He hasn't really had a lot of up so far.
And he's he's basically exclusively up this year. Like, for a guy who's that cheap, he's barely played so far, but he's been knocking in hits like crazy these last few games. He had 2 walks and a stolen base last game, 3 hits and a stolen base the game before, a hit and 2 and
Other
a
than
hit
that,
and a
it's
walk
been pretty sketchy
the
though.
game before that. And so, strikeouts, not stolen bases. I looked
he
at
was
the wrong
basically
S,
the last man out of my cash team, so he didn't make mine personally. I wouldn't fault anybody for playing him, but it's very hard for me to look at an Ohtani, Acuna, Trout outfield and be like, oh yeah, I gotta play Seth Brown over these guys. It's because I'm able to save at pitching a little bit today. So that's just my personal take. You can play Seth Brown. I think that's totally fine, especially if you are paying up for one of the more expensive pitchers. I think he's probably a must today. A couple other guys I like Lane Thomas for Washington, pretty consistent. Not that thrilled with Schuster being able to have that great of a game. Thomas very consistent, has a little bit of pop. I think he's certainly in the range of someone from the cash game perspective that I like, who gives you a little bit of a floor ceiling combo without, giving you that 0 too often. So Thomas is another guy I like. Who else are we looking at? If it's not Ohtani, if it's not Trout, if it's not Acuna, what are some other guys in the outfield you might want to be rostering today?
So really just the kind of same ones that I was hammering in before. As one-offs, I really like Julio Rodriguez. But outside of that, it's really just 3 teams that I'm targeting. It's Oakland, it's Milwaukee, and it's Atlanta. So I'd be looking to fade Acuna and play Ozuna and these other cheap bats in the Atlanta outfield. I love not only Seth Brown today, but additionally, I want to play a ton of Ramon Laureano batting at 2,700 batting cleanup. I love that today. Asterio Ruiz, stolen base guy, batting first. I want to load that up today as well. So these Oakland outfielders, Milwaukee outfielders, or just Milwaukee players in general. You can play Owen Miller and Brian Anderson in the outfield as well if you didn't play them in the infield. And then these Atlanta guys as well. Marcell Ozuna, even a little bit Michael Harris. Probably not Kevin Pillar, but yeah.
All right, I think that's going to about wrap up some of the DFS talk. We've got about 10 minutes. I'm going to go to our Discord in the MLB Crunch Time channel. I'm going to see if we have any questions. Beaner wanted to know, can you recap the Spidey bombs for today, TJ?
Rowdy Tellez and not Ronald Acuna. Ozzy Albies. I'm having trouble speaking today. I don't think I took my ADHD meds this morning. Those are the 2 Spidey bombs. I'm parlaying up both of them today with Ohtani as well as Kyle Schwarber to hit some home runs. And then if we're talking DraftKings slate, just betting in general, I also really like the Baltimore players today. Both Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman have great home run odds, and I like them as a stack over on DraftKings as well.
Bet, in case you guys were looking for a money line bet, I haven't even written it up on Scores and Odds yet. I want to reiterate the Guardians money line is something I'm going to be eyeing. I'm sure the line is shifting a little bit more as the show's progressed with a weak Houston lineup coming out today, but I don't care what it is. I think McKenzie's real. Probably one of the pitchers I would certainly want to be using if I'm spending up today. Great last year, came out of the gate strong in his last start. I'm expecting him to have no problem with his Houston lineup today, and I'm going to back the Guardians because of that. All right, any more questions in Discord? Quan or Duval, FanDuel cash last piece. So these guys were not really on my radar. I would probably take Quan between them, but these are guys, right? So I don't know. I'd rather play one of the Oakland cheap outfielders, right?
Yeah, I'd play Laureano or Seth Brown by far, both over those guys.
Yeah.
Maybe even a Stone Garrett, somebody that you wrote up before, Michael Harris, Owen Miller. I'd rather play both those guys, but if not, then it's definitely Adam Duvall between those 2.
All right, let me go to YouTube, see if we have any questions here. Lone Wolf, thoughts on Senga? So he's not on this slate. I think the general consensus was Senga is fine. There's some strikeout ability. There's a lot of blow up ability for Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's been a little bit better than I think most people were going to be thinking. What do you have a specific take on him? I think I did bet his over 5.5 strikeout prop, but that also comes with 4 walks today and 5 innings because he can be a little bit wild sometimes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't really like like, so he is still on this DraftKings slate going up against Pittsburgh. I think it's fine, but I don't really think you need to go there. For what it's worth, over on DraftKings today for the afternoon slate team that I'm playing, I have Eovaldi as my SP1, and my SP2 is Bobby Miller going up against Philly. Probably not going to throw a ton of pitches, but this is still a talented guy. And so I kind of like Taj Bradley as my other type of spend up. I'd go him over Senga today. That's kind of my personal lean.
All right, back to YouTube. I see a question. Thomas or Conforto in the outfield? I'm on Lane Thomas personally. I like Conforto. We didn't really talk about the Giants too much, but they are certainly going to be in play. Make sure their lineup comes out. They are facing a righty today, so you should see pretty much all of the lefties in there. I think Conforto's fine. I think Jock Peterson's also fine. I just like Lane Thomas. I think his consistency, upside, everything sort of plays into the matchup for him today. I like the Nationals to maybe even keep this game close. I didn't bet them, but I wouldn't hate trying to maybe a first 5 Washington, right? Hoping that Gore is good and Schuster's not. There's certainly ways that Washington can win the first 5, I think a little bit easier than the whole game. So maybe take a look at that. But I'm on Thomas today over those other 2 guys. And if I was going to pick one, I think I'd probably take Jock Peterson. What's Conforto? Is 3,200 on FanDuel, so they're the same price. I'd take Jock over Conforto if I was going to pick between those 2. Do you trust projections on Noda over Naylor? I think I'm definitely on Noda over Naylor today. I don't. Let me see what the gap here is between these 2. So Noda, let me get my lineup HQ going. Noda's at again. I'm using the bat, so Noda's at 13.5 FanDuel. Naylor's at 12. It's 1.5. It's baseball. That's pretty close. I don't know. I'm still going to take Noda over Naylor if I had to.
I would probably, if it was a one-off, I would probably take Naylor, and if I had any other Oakland players, I would probably take Noda.
Let's see here. Good Beaner wants to know a good tournament pitcher for today, and can you fade the Rays in Texas game? Beaner, let me know. What do you mean fade the Rays in Texas game? Is that from the pitching perspective? Because I think both pitchers are certainly in play. We're not really on the bats. I think the pitching is going to be what wins that game. But a good tournament pitcher for today on the FanDuel slate. Who would you have today, TJ?
Eovaldi McKenzie or Sandoval. Like, I wouldn't really try and mess around that much more. If you want to try something crazy like Tanner Hook, however you say his name, just because the Yankees lineup isn't very good. Sure. But you want to try some Taj Bradley? Sure. But I'd have to be playing like upwards of 20 lineups probably to go outside of McKenzie, Eovaldi, and Sandoval.
And you wanted to know, we're not really targeting, right, the Rays or the Rangers players. We think the starting pitching in that game is pretty good. I don't know. Would it surprise, like,
a great tournament play, but outside of that, like, I'm not really trying to play either.
It wouldn't surprise. I know it's Eovaldi, but it would not surprise me if the Rays put up, like, I'm on the Rangers, right? I wrote that up for Scores and Odds. Rangers money line. That's a bet of mine today for sure. But the Rays are so good. The Rangers offense also very good too. I don't see this game being like 10-8, right? But could one of these teams put up 7 or 8 runs? Absolutely. These are the 2 best offenses in baseball this year. It's very hard to argue against them, but we're not really using them this slate. So from the tournament perspective, if no one's doing that and they're expensive, I don't know. Are we thinking too hard here? Do we just not need to play them?
Yeah, I don't think we need to go there at all, really. And just like, honestly, I'm looking at the FanDuel build today, and I don't know how cheap so many of these hitters are. Just because we got 5 minutes left here. Are there a lot of QQs left?
I don't really see too many right now. You can go off if you want.
Friendly like debate. I think you have to go McKenzie over Sandoval in a cash game setting. Like, there's just so many great cheap guys to fill in, and I just look at who would be the number 1 guy I'd want to play at each position. I can plug every one of them in, and the only one I sacrifice is Acuna.
Yeah, Acuna is the one guy he is the one.
You sacrifice Acuna, but then you still have like 3K left for the last outfield position and utility spot. So there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah, I'm toying around. I mean, if you take out, like, I didn't have Seth Brown, right? So if you take out Acuna and play Seth Brown, you can go up to McKenzie, but then you're losing Acuna, who's literally like completely out of this world in terms of hitting so far this year. It's absolutely nuts how good he's been. And even against Mackenzie Gore, I'm going to take Acuna. And I think my thought is that I don't love any of the pitching. So why don't I just get the best hitter in baseball right now, right, and get Ronald Acuna?
And it's, to be fair, if you had played Ronald Acuna in cash every single day this year, you're probably making a lot of money.
Yeah, irregardless of price, I think something like that would probably end up playing out pretty well. Just going through, seeing if I have any other questions really quick. J3 has so much Gore. Is this going to backfire? Gore is interesting. I mean, you pull up the plate IQ, and I've got it up here. It's like the strikeout stuff is there, and the Braves can strike out, specifically Olsen and Riley. Everyone else is, I don't know, they don't really strike out too much here. But those guys might be free strikeouts against Gore today. I'm not really actively targeting Gore, and people are on the Braves offense. Is this like, are we getting double leverage by rostering Gore because no one's using him and it takes out some of the Braves offense?
I can't play a guy who's given up a 50% hard hit rate this year against the Atlanta Braves. Like, I can't do it. Yes, he's striking out a lot of guys, but like, he could give up 4 home runs in the first inning.
Tankenstein wants to know, he's doing a Blackburn stack with the Rangers in a single entry. Is he wasting that? Blackburn was good last year. That was their all-star, right? Because, I mean, it's the A's. They have to pick somebody. But he was halfway decent last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to turn into that. I don't know, man. I think that's probably a wasted entry today, especially with the Ranger stack.
I think so too.
Yeah, I would probably switch something off of that. I'm going to go back to Discord.
I kind of just honestly wish I could play 50 lineups on Fanduel that are all just variations of Milwaukee, Oakland, and Atlanta while throwing in Ohtani. That's what I would want. Even if I was playing 20 lineups, I think that's what every single one of those lineups would be.
Yeah, I completely would want to. I understand what you're saying with that perfectly. Just trying to see here. Real quick, recap the Spidey bombs for some of the people that may have missed it. And if you guys haven't clicked the like button at all, there are no more Spidey bombs. There's no more bets. I've given them to you all. We would appreciate it. But what were the Spidey bombs, real quick, for last minute people trying to get in?
Tellez and Ozzy Albies, if you're including the DraftKings slate, we're throwing in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. And then I really like, if you want to turn it into a parlay, add some Shohei Ohtani in there to cap it off as well. But Tellez and Albies were the 2 official Spidey bombs today. Favorite stacks of the day on this FanDuel main slate are Oakland, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. And then on DraftKings, throw Baltimore into that list as well, and that caps off the teams that I'm targeting today.
Yeah, my bets were, I'm on the Rangers money line and I'm on the Guardians money line are 2 of the main things I'm on going into the slate. Don't really see too many more questions. We're going to hit lineup block in just a second here, TJ. We've talked the FanDuel slate. I think we've covered every aspect of it. We've got bets. We've got Spidey bombs. What do you say we get out of here and we go enjoy the rest of our Saturday?
Yeah, let's do it. Enjoy some day baseball, everybody.
Yeah. Everyone have fun out there. For TJ, I'm Britt. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we out ya.